Can we take one message and let it change our entire life? That's what we're going to talk about today. Hi, this is Jill from the North Woods, talking about improving your life one small step at a time. I have to tell you that I learned at some point how you do one thing is how you do everything. That was a phrase that came to me from someone else. And I learned at some point how to lose weight. And when I learned how to lose weight and persist in that, it suddenly taught me to save money. I was able to take the lessons I got from this weight loss journey and start applying it to my budget. Weight loss is a little bit like budgeting, right? You have a set number of calories, you have to spend them in a certain way. Same thing with a budget. You have an income, it has to go to certain bills. And suddenly, once I started getting that discipline, that planning, that emotional set of habits, I started being able to do other things. So let's walk through these types of emotions and patterns that we could take. I used to just eat out of boredom, emotion. I wasn't really even thinking about it. I was kind of like in drone mode. I feel like eating a steak. I feel like eating ice cream. I feel like doing this and I feel like doing that. And that was happening to my money too. I'm stressed. I want a cookie. I'm stressed. I want to go buy something. I want to splurge on a gadget. I love gadgets. And once I started tracking what I ate, realizing how to be a little bit more disciplined, realizing how my emotional state or my ADHD was just really causing me to lose focus, then I started realizing, aha, I can pause. I can track. I can ask myself, do I really need this cookie, gadget, or is this just a feeling? Is this just an emotion? And by taking small steps, I started realizing I could start not only budgeting my calories, budgeting my cash, budgeting my time, and I started being able to take the same skills I learned to do one thing and do everything with it. And that's the important thing, is that when you're going through this process, think of something that you have been successful with. Some way, if you're lacking discipline, where was a case where you were very disciplined? Maybe you were enjoying being in a band, right? A high school band. And so while you tend to be a very non-disciplined person, suddenly you gained a discipline when you were in that band because you liked it so much. Maybe there were times that you decided to be an athlete and you wanted to gain discipline so that you'd be a good athlete. How you did that is how you will do everything else. How you will fix your problems in your life, spend less money, spend less calories, being able to have those types of habits. And so the important twist of it is that you have to take what you learned out of it and use this discipline to spill out into other areas. If you go back and you think, how did I get into band, or how did I get into sports, or how was I able to save for that vacation when I can't save for anything else? Once you start building that discipline and noticing what paths did you take in order to do this, and suddenly you'll start to be able to realize, I can trust myself more. I have more awareness and more confidence that I'm capable of doing these small things. When you think about, like imagine you wanted to get into the band and you were terrible at playing a tuba, and suddenly you just loved being in the band so much. You did things. You changed your behaviors in certain ways. You forced yourself to practice when you weren't very good at practicing before. You forced yourself to stay focused when you wanted to go out and hang out with your friends. You found certain ways to get yourself to act. Now, for me, on one side, I was very undisciplined. Two, I had ADHD, and so I would just forget I was on a diet, or forget I was on a budget, or forget that I was supposed to. I don't play the tuba, but I would, if I did, I would forget to go play the tuba. How did I get myself to do those things? How did I get myself to be reminded of what I needed to do, stay focused on it, and whether it's losing weight, um, paying off your debts, playing the tuba, it all requires you to have a delay of gratification, a long-term vision, a tracking process, a way for you to write down what it is you need to do and do those things, and then to celebrate the small wins. I've seen people struggle when they try to do certain things, yet they can do other things. I remember I was watching one of those, I don't know, afternoon talk shows, and this person was always late, always, always, always late. Couldn't be on time for everything. And her friends basically tricked her into coming onto this show where they were going to secretly talk about how she could never be on time for anything. She was late when they would go out to dinner or they'd hang out together, and her friends were just sick of it. And she'd just say, "Oh, I'm just terrible at it. I can't do it." And the idea was that the show promised only her, but she thought it was everybody, that anyone who showed up early to the show would get $100 in cash. And guess what? She showed up early. And then they sat down and talked about it, and her friends were like, "Why can't you show up early for us? Why can't you show up on time? We're always sitting around and waiting for you." And you know what? She could do it. She kept telling everyone that she didn't have the discipline to do it, but when it mattered, she did it. When I thought that I gave myself cancer, I learned disciplined to lose weight, which is a whole other topic, but it also helped me to start saving money. I started to gain control. And like any muscle, you got to develop it. You got to start working on it, and you got to keep your health, your finances, your tuba playing all in line through, like I said, tracking, discipline, doing those things. For me, it's very hard because obviously all of us like certain things, don't like other things, and I'm very good at focusing on the things I like and very bad at focusing at the things I don't like. But once you figure out you have the discipline to do the things that you like, you have the same discipline to do the things you don't like. It's the same pattern. It's the same tracking method. It's the same thing that you did. And so really, if you're going back and you're wondering, how can I fix a certain problem? Have you ever in your life fixed this problem? Have you ever gone and had a success in this particular area, whether it's discipline, focus, writing things down, tracking things so you don't go too far, or just having a presence in your mind to remember you're supposed to be doing something? I think that's the important thing. I noticed at one point someone asked me, I don't know how to gain my focus. I have terrible ADHD. I'm unfocused all the time. I don't know how to do it. And so I asked a simple question. Do you remember a time in your life when you succeeded at this? And it turned out I forgot what it was. He was in some kind of a math club when he was in high school. And he really wanted to do well at this. He liked math. He wanted to get his exercises done so he could compete in math. And that forced him into doing a lot of things he didn't want to do, like tracking, like writing things down, like scheduling his time. And he said, well, yeah, it worked for me because I liked to do those things. And I said, yeah, but all those skills still work. All those ways that you got yourself to go in and be a math elite, which is cool because I was like into math elite too, is the same pattern. It's the same pattern, how you get to do that. And so that's my advice to you, is if you can figure out one way once in your life that you have done something successfully, you can take that pattern and do it successfully again. It's going to be harder because maybe you liked that other thing and you don't like this new thing, but you know what? It's the same thing. It's the same pattern. And whether you like it or you don't like it, or it's something you have to do as compared to something you want to do, those same skills still apply. All right, everyone, thanks so much. Appreciate you watching, listening. I hope you're having a great week. If there's something that you're struggling with, or if there's something that you had a great success with, I'd love to hear about it. You can email me at jill@startwithsmallsteps.com. You can also put a comment in the channel, and I'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day.